Okay, number one, the purchase price is $685,000, and in order to avoid mortgage insurance, you have to put a minimum of 20% down. So $685,500 times 20% is going to be $137,100. So that would be the minimum down payment in order to avoid mortgage insurance. Okay, for number two, how much can he finance? The word finance means borrow. So how much can we borrow? Well, you can borrow the difference. So the $685,000, 500 minus your down payment that you're putting down of $137,100 is equal to $548,400. Okay? You could have also gotten that amount by taking this and multiplying by 0.8. That would be 80% of that amount after putting down 20%. Okay, to calculate the payments, we're going to use this formula. The payment is equal to the present value, that's the amount you borrow, times R over N divided by 1 minus 1 plus R over N to the negative NT. And this is an ordinary annuity. So this is going to be $548,000. That's what we calculated from the previous problem. Times, let's draw this smaller. Okay, times 0.04375. That's 4.375% divided by 12. 1 minus 1 plus 0.04375 over 12 to the negative 12 times, and this was a 30-year loan, fixed rate. So this will come out to, after rounding off to the nearest penny, $2,738.08. So that would be the monthly payment. Okay, nobody ever does these amortization payments by hand, but this is how they're calculated. You take the beginning balance, $548,400, and we calculate the interest for 1 month. Remember, interest is principal times rate times time. So this is going to be $548,400 times our rate, which is 4.375%. But that's an annual rate, and this is 1 month's worth of interest. So this is going to be times 1 over 12, or just divided by 12. And so this will come out to $1,999.38. Okay? So that's the amount of interest that you are accruing for this 1 month. You're always making a payment of $27.38, and we calculated this in the previous problem. And because it's a fixed rate, this gets written down all the way. Okay? So if your payment amount is this amount, that $2,738, and your interest is that, the portion used to reduce principal is just the difference. So $2,738.08 minus 1999.38, this comes out to $738.70. Actually, to the nearest penny, it comes out to 71 if you round off correctly. So this will be 71 here. So the ending balance is what you started with minus the portion used to reduce principal. And so we're going to take 548,400 minus that 738, and we're going to get 547,661.29. Actually, let's just put 30. I'll just round off consistently. Okay. Then we're going to take that and we're going to start the next month with it. And we're just going to redo this entire problem, but we'll stick that amount here. and leave the exact number that was in your calculator so that you don't have to worry about any rounding errors. I'm going to multiply this out, and this time we're going to get 1996.68. So that's what we'll put here. Okay? The payment amount is the same, so we subtract to get this, and this will be $741.40. I'll just start filling in the rest of this because the process just keeps repeating itself. So we'll start here with that amount. And the interest for the period will take this amount and we'll plug in the 546,919.90, and we're going to get out 1993.98. And so, and when we subtract, we'll get 746.81. So we subtract again and get 545,428.99, and we'll start that over here. And we'll get 1991.27. This will become, oh wait a minute, I made a mistake here. This is 7, I was looking off of solutions that I had already done. This amount here should have been 744.10. Okay, anyway, sorry if that confused you. So this should be, oh, and this amount was also incorrect. That amount should have been 546,175.80, and then this will subtract to 545,428.99. And finally, we'll put that here. And the amount of interest will be 1988.54. This will be 749.54, and this will end up as 544,679.45. Now, a couple of things. What I want you to notice, first of all, nobody does this by hand, because a 30-year mortgage, this is only 5/12 of a year. We'd have to do 12 entire lines of this to make just 1 year. And then a 30-year mortgage, we'd have to do 360 lines of it. And so nobody's going to do this by hand, but I think it's important to know how this is being calculated. What I want you to take away from this is the fact that the amount of interest that is charged each month continues to go down as the months go by. And therefore, the amount of principal starts increasing each month. You see that? Each month, the amount increases. So in the beginning, you're paying almost all interest and very little is used to go toward reducing the principal. But as the months go on and the years go on, you're paying less and less principal, so more and more of each payment is going to reduce your principal balance. Okay, to calculate the amount of interest I'll pay over the life of the loan, we're going to take our loan amount, which is $27,3808, and leave all the decimals that go in after it. So just grab that number from your calculator, and we're going to multiply by 12 months per year, because that's a monthly payment, times 30 years. This amount represents the total amount you're repaying. You subtract from that the amount that you borrowed in the first place, and you'll come out with the amount of interest you're paying, $437,308.93. So that's the amount of interest you pay over the life of this loan. All right, the question is, could John get an ARM, which stands for adjustable rate mortgage? In an adjustable rate mortgage, the mortgage rate goes up and down depending on a lot of factors, but mainly including the prime rate, the prime rate factor. So, could John get an ARM for the same loan at 3.75%? Yeah, you could get an ARM. Under what circumstances is this a good idea? An ARM is typically a terrible idea when interest rates are low, because if interest rates go up, your payment's going to go up. And an affordable payment can quickly become unaffordable if the rates go up too high. So when is this a good idea? Really only if I don't plan on keeping the loan for a long time. Okay, so if John doesn't plan on keeping the loan for a long time, or if rates are historically super high so that John's not too worried about keeping, about further rate increases. Although you can never know for sure. Okay, John calculates that his maintenance fee for this condominium will be $615 a month. If he were instead to shop for a single-family home that did not require a monthly maintenance fee payment, how much could he finance in order to keep his monthly payment the same as they would be when purchasing a condominium? So the general rule of thumb is that, and this is not true for every interest rate, but the general rule of thumb is that every $500 of maintenance fee takes away about $100,000 worth of buying power. So we're going to expect that we could have bought something for maybe, I don't know, more than, that's more than 500, so more than $100,000 more. I'm going to guess $120,000 more or something like that. But let's take a look at the actual calculation. Okay, so what we could have afforded, our monthly payment was $2738.08. We're going to add to this $615, so our new payment is going to be $3353.08. And then if we're going to solve for the present value, we've done this in the past, but the present value is equal to the payment times 1 minus 1 plus r over n to the negative nt over r over n. So this is going to be 3353.08 times 1 minus 1 plus, now we said the rate in this problem was 4.35%, or 375. This is monthly payments always in a mortgage. Over. So this comes out to $671,576.06. Okay, so that's the answer to this problem. But I want you to, what I think is important is to compare this to what we could have borrowed in the first place. If we originally we were talking about a borrowing $548,400. If we were, that was because our budget included our monthly payment that we would be paying plus this amount. So in other words, we had a $3,300 a month budget, okay? But if we didn't have this maintenance fee, we could have borrowed an additional, the difference between 548 and 685 is about $140,000. We could have borrowed an additional $140,000 and purchased a home with $140,000 more value. So, but that's the trade-off. There's a lot of good things that go along with a maintenance fee, but there is a cost, a real cost associated with it. Okay, this is tedious, so I'm just going to fill in the values, but remember, this was $671,576.06 as our starting balance, and remember, interest is principal times rate times time, and this is 1 over 12. So this is going to come out to 2448.45. Our payment amount is $33.5308, and it's a fixed payment, so that will get carried down there. So this is $904.63, and we subtract and get an ending balance of $671.43. So we'll start at $671.43. And the interest is $24.45. We're using the same formula, 0.16. So we subtract and get $907.92, and our ending balance is $669,763.51. So we'll start with that. We'll use the same formula with that starting balance to get $24.41.85. So we'll subtract and get $911.23 here. And we'll subtract yet again and get $667. By 67, I mean 68. $852.28. So we'll start with that here. Use that in this formula again, and we'll get $24.38.52. We'll subtract and get $919.56. And we'll subtract again and get $667.937.72. So we'll start this month with that. We'll use that in the interest formula, and we'll get $24.35.19. We'll subtract and get $917.89, and we'll subtract again and get $667.014.83. And again, what I want you to notice, the main takeaway, is that our interest charges for each period start decreasing each month. And the amount that we end up using to reduce principal goes up each month. Except I obviously made a mistake. It's because I wrote this down wrong. That's not a 919, that's a 914. This is a 914. Okay. All right, that looks better. Okay, here we're trying to buy this, borrow that amount using, and I'm comparing a 30-year fixed versus a 15-year fixed. So let's do the 30 first. So for the payment for the 30, I'll put a little 30 down there to remind myself that. This is going to be the amount we borrow times our interest rate, which is in this case 4.625% at 30. 0.04625 over 12, 1 minus 1 plus 0.04625 over 12 to the negative 12 times 30. And this is going to come out to 4190.24. Okay, here we're going to do the same borrowing, but at 15 years. So there's a different rate, though, for the 15-year. Typically, your rates are going to be lower for shorter loans, okay? And we'll talk about that in class, why that is. But that's just the way mortgage lending is. So a payment for the 15-year loan is going to be that same $815,000 times. And this time it's the 15-year was 4.125%. So 0.04125 divided by 12, 1 minus 0.04125 divided by, oops, what did I just do? 1 plus 0.04125 divided by 12, negative 12 times 15. And this is going to come out to Okay, I got 6,079.64. Okay. Okay, number 11 wants you to calculate the total interest for the 30-year loan. So we got to go look back at number 9. Number 9, the 30-year loan, the payment was 4190.24, and there was a bunch of decimals in there. Leave those on. Take that value that you see. Don't round it off. And I'm going to multiply by 12 and multiply by 30. This right here represents the total amount I'm paying back over the entire life of the loan. So from this, I'm going to subtract out the amount that we borrowed in the first place, which was $815,000. And this will give me the amount that we are paying in interest, which is going to be $693,485.34 in interest for the 30-year fixed mortgage. Okay, number 12 asks us to calculate the amount of interest in the 15-year loan. So we're going to refer back to number 10, and the payment amount was $6,079.64, and there was a bunch of decimals. We're going to multiply this by 12 months per year times 15 years, and then that represents the amount that we're paying back in total over the life of the loan. So we subtract out the amount that we borrowed in the first place. So this will be the amount of interest. And this comes out to $279,334.44 in interest. So quite a big difference in interest payments over the life of these loans. And we'll talk about why that's maybe not such a bad deal anyway, though. Okay, so number 13, two pros for the 15-year mortgage. One is you obviously pay way less interest. That's as compared to a 30, right? And number 2 is you you're making your payments in 15 years rather than 30. And that's very attractive to some people. They just want to feel like their home is free and clear. Again, I'm going to show you why that may not be the best financial decision to pay that off early, even if it means you're going to be making those payments, into your ripe old age. Now, number 14 says give two cons. Let's change this to 3 cons. One con is that you have a higher monthly payment. There's no getting around that. That's a con compared to the 30, right? Another con is that you're going to pay less with deflated dollars. Now, let me explain what that means. Pay for less time, which means paying with less deflated dollars. So what that means is every year that you're making your payments, because of inflation, the value of each dollar that you're making your payment with decreases. So that even though your monthly payment stays as a dollar amount the same, the value of that monthly payment goes down each year through deflation. And so you're kind of getting a discount on it. In 30 years, a $3,500 payment will feel like less than half of that in all likelihood, because of inflation. All right. And the third thing is that right now anyway, you can write off your mortgage interest on your taxes. So that's a tax shelter. And with less interest, you have a smaller tax shelter. Okay. Number 15 says, I'll change this to 3 pros. One is obvious. It's a much smaller monthly payment. A second thing, would be a longer repayment period, means you're going to be paying with more deflated dollars. In other words, you'll allow more time to pass while you're making those payments, so you'll be able to pay, inflation will happen for a longer period of time. And number 3, you'll have a bigger tax shelter. You're going to pay more in interest. So in other words, it's not a completely fair comparison to just say I'm paying this many more dollars in interest, because you're able to write off some of that interest against your income. All right, number 16. Give 2 cons for the 30. Well, the con would be pay way more in interest no matter how you cut this up. And you're going to be paying for longer. In other words, you'll be much older when you finally pay off your mortgage. Okay? Okay, in the first problem, we talked about putting the minimum down payment in order to avoid mortgage insurance, private mortgage insurance. Here's a problem where this is Isla. She's going to try to buy a home for $572,000, but she can only come up with $3,800 in the form of a down payment, and that's not 20%. So she's not meeting that 20% requirement, and she's going to be required to put on mortgage insurance. We'll talk in class why that mortgage insurance exists. But here's how you do it. In order to figure out her total payment, let's first see how much she's borrowing. So we'll take her $572,500 price of the home minus what she's putting down as a down payment, and it means she's going to try to finance $534,500. So her payment, her mortgage payment, is going to be that amount, $534,500, times her rate divided by 12, 1 minus 1 plus her rate divided by 12, to the negative 12 times, this is a 30-year mortgage. And this is going to come out to $2,788.21. So that's her mortgage payment. But now she's going to, in addition to that, have to pay private mortgage insurance. And private mortgage insurance is typically 1% of your entire outstanding balance per month. So to begin with, it's going to be $534,500 times 0.01 divided by 12. And this will come out to, this is going to come out to $445.42. So her total initial payment is going to be the sum of these two amounts. This amount for her mortgage payment plus $445.42 for her mortgage insurance, which comes out to $3233.63 as a total payment. Is Isla required to pay this over the life of the loan? The answer is no. And so the rule is a little bit complicated, but basically when the loan to value comes down enough, the mortgage insurance gets removed. The actual law is that you can ask for the private mortgage insurance to be removed when the loan to value drops below 80% of the appraised value. The amount, in other words, the size of the loan is only 80% of the appraised value. But they're required to automatically remove it when the loan to value drops below 78%. loan to value drops to 78%. Okay? And the reason why, when if you were paying attention and you notice that your loan to value is 80%, you can get that dropped, but it might require you to get an appraisal done on your home to find its value. If you don't use the appraisal, you're going to have to use the city and county's tax assessed values, which are typically lower than the actual value of your home. So that's a drawback. Okay, if Isla were to invest that $445 of private mortgage insurance each month into an account that, bore interest, the question is, how much is she really losing out on? Okay, so the future value is equal to your payment times 1 plus R over N to the NT minus 1 over R over N. So this is going to be equal to 445.42 times 1 plus the rate was, what was the rate? 7.5%, so 0.075 divided by 12 times 10 years minus 1 over 0.075 over 12. So this is going to come out to $79,253.73. Okay? The reality is often people do not have the money to put their full 20% down payment down. So the previous problem was an example of one solution to that, getting private mortgage insurance. And this is a second solution that is a little more difficult to qualify for, but is way more beneficial to you if you can qualify for it. And it's a piggyback loan. So what this is, the question is there another way? And the answer is yes, you can get a piggyback loan. If you can qualify for it. So in the next problem, we'll explain exactly what the piggyback loan is. Okay, so this is 80-15-5 is a typical piggyback loan arrangement. And what this means is this 80% is an 80% first mortgage. Your first mortgager, the first mortgage company, requires you to put down 20% in order to avoid the PMI. So you can do that by borrowing the additional money that you need. So this is your first mortgage. Then the 15 represents monies borrowed on a second mortgage from a second mortgage company. It cannot be the first mortgage company. So this is a second mortgage, and this is your piggyback loan. And this 15% will just be paid to the original mortgage company, and so that the first mortgage company is getting their entire 20% down payment. And finally, the 5% is what's remaining, and this is your down payment. So this example brought your down payment from 20% of the original down to 5% of the purchase price. Okay, so let's see how Isla's total payment is going to work with this. She's got a 30-year fixed at this. That's her first mortgage. Her piggyback loan is a 10-year fixed at this. Piggyback loans are typically higher interest rates, but this is a much shorter time frame, which brings back the interest rate down, which is why you see a lower interest rate there. Okay, so let's do the calculations to figure out her total payment. So the payment on her 30-year loan is going to be the amount that she borrows, which is the purchase price times 80%, because she can only borrow 80% on her primary, her first mortgage. And this is, times, this is going to be 0.0475 divided by 12, 1 minus 1 plus 0.0475 divided by 12 to the negative 12 times. This is a 30-year loan. And this is going to come out to $23.89 and 14 cents. Okay? So let's do the calculation on her piggyback loan. This is a 10-year loan. Okay, so this is going to be $572,500. That's the purchase price, but we're only borrowing 15%. And the rate on this is 0.0425 divided by 12 to the negative 12 times. This is 10 years. Okay? And this comes out to $879.68. So her total payment is the sum of these two things. We're going to add those up, and we're going to get $3268.82 as her total payment. Okay. All right, here we're going to compare the two methods. In number 17 of this worksheet, we calculated the total PMI payment, and the total PMI payment came out to, let's do the piggyback loan. The piggyback loan was the previous problem, and the total piggyback payment method came out to $3268 and 82. And then the PMI method, this was number 17. This came out to 3233.63. So we take the difference of those and we get just a small $35.19 per month. And the PMI method does look cheaper. So it's $35.19 per month cheaper for the PMI method in this particular case. Okay? But we'll see why that's still not a good deal for the PMI in just the next problem. Okay, so the question is, since the amounts are virtually the same, in fact, the PMI is a little cheaper, but they're virtually the same considering the size of that payment, does one have an advantage over the other? And there's a clear advantage with the piggyback. The reason why, the reason why is because after 10 years, the piggyback loan is going to be paid off. And then your mortgage payment is going to drop way down because you're going to remove the loan payment from your piggyback method. Okay? The PMI will drop off as well, but not nearly as much. So in 10 years, the piggyback loan payment will be $23.89.14. Okay? When the PMI drops down far enough, which is probably going to be around 10 years, the PMI loan payment method will be $27.88. $21. So for the remaining 20 years, you're going to be saving about $400. This is the piggyback method. Okay. Number 25, does Isla have any other options to lower her monthly payments? Yeah, she could get an ARM, but honestly, stay away from ARMs. Unless you know, and an ARM, remember, is an adjustable rate mortgage. Stay away from them unless you really know that you are not going to be holding that loan for its entire term. If you plan on flipping a house, just buying it, selling it in a very short period of time, ARMs can make sense because while you're holding it, your payments are low. But otherwise, I would, or if historically interest rates are super high and you're not too worried about further increases. But right now, interest rates are at historical lows. It'd be a pretty bad idea to get an ARM. Explain the drawbacks of that route. Well, if rates increase, your payment will increase. And honestly, it can increase a lot. And something that was once affordable can quickly become unaffordable as rates start increasing. So be very, very careful with ARMs. Okay, now let's talk about discount points and what they are. So Wyatt finds a home for $825,000. He plans to put down 25% on a 30-year fixed rate at that amount. So let's stop right there. Oh, and it says that the loan amount has closing costs of 2%. Closing costs are just fees that you have to pay your lender for originating or making your loan happen. Okay? So the question is, what's the total closing costs, including the down payment, come out to? So let's figure out the down payment itself. $825,000 times 25% comes out to $206,250. So that's your down payment. So that means you're going to finance the difference. So $825,000 minus $206,250 means you're going to borrow $618,750. You pay points off of the amount you finance, not off of the original. So we're going to pay points off of that amount. So the points are $618,750 financed times 2%, and this comes out to $12,375. These are your closing costs. So your total down payment, including the closing costs, are your $206,250 plus your $12,375. It'll come out to $218,625. This is what you have to come to the table with to get this loan by putting down 25%. Okay, so what's the monthly payment going to be in this scenario? Where our payment is going to be the amount that we borrow, $618,750 times, this was at this rate, so this is going to come out, after rounding to the nearest penny, 3089.33. That's the monthly payment. Okay. Number 29 says calculate the amount of interest. So we're going to take that amount that we got from the previous problem, 309.33, leave all those decimals in there, multiply by 12 months per year for 30 years, and then subtract out. That's how much you're paying back. We're going to subtract out the amount that we borrowed, and we're going to get $493,407.91. So that's the total interest we pay back over the life of this loan. Okay, so here we're going to talk about discount points. Discount points are an upfront fee that you pay to try to lower your interest rate over the life of your loan. So we're going to pay in this problem 3.75% of the amount that we borrowed, and in return our mortgager is going to lower our rate by this amount. So we're going to first calculate what the cost of this is going to be. So $618,750 that we're borrowing times 3.75% is going to be $23,203.13. Okay, so that's how much we're going to pay as an upfront fee to lower our percentage rate. Okay, so what would the payment be if we purchase and finance, meaning borrow the points? Well, our interest rate will go from 4.375% minus what we're dropping it down by. So our new interest rate will be 3.5%. The amount that we're borrowing will be our original $618,750 plus the cost of the points that we calculated in the previous problem. So now we're going to finance $641,953.13. This is our new loan amount. The payment on this is going to be $641,953.13 times, now we have a new rate though, 0.035 divided by 12. And this is going to come out to 2882.66. So our new loan comes down to that amount, our new payment. All right, how much would it go down by? Well, our original payment was $3,089.33. We're going to take away our new payment, which was $2882.66. So we're going to save $206.67 every single month if we purchase the points. Okay, how long will it take us to break even? Well, we take the amount of money, $23,203.13 is the cost of the points, divided by our savings every single month, and this comes out to 112.27 months, which is 9.36 years, which is 9 years, 4.27 months. So our break-even point is 9 years, 5 months. So as long as you hold the loan for 9 years and 5 months, every month after that, you have saved money. If you sell the property or you lose the loan before those 9 years and 5 months, you will lose out from having purchased those points. Okay, calculate the total interest, including the cost of the points, why it would pay over the life of the loan if he purchased the points. Well, our loan payment was $2882.66 with all those decimals after it, times 12 months per year for 30 years, minus the amount that you borrowed. The amount that you borrowed was $618,750. We can't count the points in there because we had to pay for the points in order to do this. But this is going to come out to $419,006.31. So this amount includes the amount of money that we'll pay, including the points. Okay, number 35 says, how much would Wyatt save over the life of the loan? Well, the total, if he didn't buy the points, we calculated the amount of interest he would pay. This is from problem number 29. That's the amount of interest he would pay from problem number 29. This is from problem number 34. He would pay $419,006.31 in interest. So the difference of those would be $74,401.60. So you would save, by purchasing the points, you're going to save $74,000 over the life of the loan. That includes the cost of the points. So it's almost always in your best interest to buy the points if you think you're going to hold the loan till maturity. And that's it.